In a world where cars are often built to serve a purpose, there exists a machine that was never meant to follow the ordinary path. A car that was not created to blend in with the crowd, but to stand far above it like a king on a throne. A car that carries not just the weight of its body, but the weight of dreams, ambition, and untamed power. That car is the Mercedes-Maybach Exelero, a name that sounds like a legend, whispered in the shadows of automotive history, and a presence that feels like thunder before the storm. It was never about transportation. It was always about domination, about showing the world what happens when boundaries are ignored and imagination is given the freedom of steel and fire. The Exelero was not born in silence. It was demanded into existence. In the early 2000s, a tire company known as Fulda needed something extraordinary. They were not looking for an ordinary test car. They wanted a beast. A car that could run with a new generation of high performance tires and show the world that rubber and speed can dance together without fear. Mercedes-Maybach answered the call, but they did not simply create a car. They sculpted an icon, a one-off, a dark knight in metal, glass, and luxury, something so audacious that the world could not look away. When the curtains fell and the Exelero was revealed, it was like watching a shadow rise against the sun. It stood long, wide, and impossibly low, its presence commanding silence. Its body painted in deep, oily black that seemed to swallow the light. Its nose sharp, with a grille as imposing as the gates of a palace. And on its back, a pair of tail lights that glowed like embers of a dying fire. This was no ordinary coupe. It was a limousine reimagined as a predator, measuring almost 6 meters in length. Its profile stretched endlessly, its wheels black and brutal against the ground. It was elegance and aggression forged together in a way few cars have ever dared to be. But the design was only the surface. Beneath the hood lay a heart that could awaken the night. A 5.9-liter twin-turbocharged V12 engine, an orchestra of engineering that produced 690 horsepower and 1020 newton-meters of torque, numbers so staggering for its time that even supercars whispered in its presence. The Exelero was not just built for speed, it was built for an unrelenting surge of power, capable of sprinting from 0 to 100 km/h in just 4.4 seconds, despite its gigantic weight and reaching a top speed of over 350 km/h. A limousine-shaped missile that laughed at the laws of physics. The world had never seen anything like it inside. The car was not stripped for performance like race machines. It was draped in luxury, leather as soft as whispers, aluminum accents that caught the faintest glimmer of light, and an aura that told you this was not simply a car you sit in. It was a car you experience. The Maybach DNA was everywhere, comfort and extravagance refusing to compromise even when faced with monstrous performance. Yet what made the Exelero even more mysterious was its rarity. Because this was not a production car, it was a one-off, a singular creation that would never be duplicated. A rolling masterpiece with no brothers or sisters, a lone wolf that belonged to no pack. Its value instantly became untouchable. Its worth beyond numbers, yet people did try. And when it was once reported that the car carried a price tag of around $8 million, the world gasped. But even that number did not capture its true essence. Because how do you put a price on something that cannot be recreated, on something that stands outside the boundaries of time and logic? Celebrities dreamed of owning it, collectors hunted its shadow, and its legend only grew. Rappers sang its name, billionaires whispered about it, and automotive enthusiasts treated it like a mythical beast that very few would ever lay eyes on in reality. Because the Exelero was not parked in showrooms, it was not rolling down ordinary streets. It lived in a different dimension. The car became more than just steel and horsepower. It became a statement of what happens when money, vision, and engineering genius collide without limits. A reminder that sometimes the automotive world is not about sales figures or practicality, but about pure unfiltered madness, about daring to build something that only the brave can dream of. And perhaps that is why the Exelero is remembered with such reverence, because it was never trying to fit in. It was never trying to please everyone. It was unapologetically unique, fearlessly bold, and undeniably dominant. Every angle, every curve, every roar of its V12 was a message to the world. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is for those who crave power, those who understand art in the form of machinery, those who live for the impossible, Even today, when you look at modern hypercars and luxury machines, there is something about the Exelero that feels untouchable. Because it did not follow trends, it created its own path. It was not about hybrid efficiency or digital dashboards, it was raw, analog. A giant born in an era where courage still meant building something outrageous simply because you could. A car that did not care about being polite, did not care about being reasonable. It only cared about being unforgettable. And unforgettable it became. The Exelero is not just a car you see, it is a car you feel in your bones. It is thunder rolling across the sky, a black shadow slicing through the air, a vision of excess and beauty that demands respect. It is history written in horsepower, a dream cast into steel, and a reminder that sometimes legends are not born in fairy tales. Sometimes they are born in the roar of an engine, the gleam of black paint under the moonlight, and the silence of the world watching in awe as a monster passes by. That is the story of the Mercedes-Maybach Exelero, a machine that redefined what a car could be, a masterpiece that stands eternal, unmatched, and